And so it expands. Namaste to you all. I am Ekara, and it is my great pleasure and my sincere honor to be with you all today to share in this moment of intercreation, to join hearts and to open pathways that not only previously were closed, but were also unknown to many of you. So, as we prepare for all of you who have registered for this moment of meditation, this ascension experience to join in this live broadcast, which is going out all over planet Earth, I would like you to think for a moment about the heart space. It is a concept that is often thrown around, the heart space. Many people claim that they know where it is, and they should. It is right in the center of your chest, after all. But it is more than that. The heart space is not just a physical location. It is a tonal location, an akenaic location, and this means, dear ones, that the heart space exists in every point of time and space, in every point of matter, in every point of energy. The heart space does not merely exist in the center of your chest, even though we often refer you to it when we speak of the heart space. But rather, it exists in every center of every cell of your body, on every level of creation, the atomic level, the subatomic level, the quantum level, and yes, the tonal level. Now, this wasn't always the case, of course. There used to be a time when humanity still found itself in vibrational space only, when holographic reality would not fully manifest the way you would anticipate it. And as such, most particles that surround you, all particles of matter and energy, therefore, would be created merely from the center of your chest, merely from the akenai itself. But now, with the return of the flower of life geometry, now with the entry into tonal space, the heart space, the heart center is everywhere. And that means that you are everywhere. That means that your thoughts are everywhere. Every breath that you take pulls infinity into the finite, or should I say, pulls infinity out of the finite from which it is born. Every out-breath moves infinity back into the finite. So, with every breath that you take, you present a version of yourself in every point of time and space, not just this linear time frame in which you sit, but everywhere. Every time you breathe, you exist in Lemurian times, in Atlantean times, in Roman times, and even in current and future times. It is via breath and via the Merkavah, light body, therefore, that you manifest yourselves everywhere, anywhere, at any time, all at once. And this is indeed quite a thing to ponder, is it not? As we prepare for this meditation to kick off, it is quite a thing to realize that with every thought and with every breath, you place your thoughts, you place your essence everywhere, anywhere. Now, understanding this is understanding your own infinite nature. Understanding this is understanding that you are the universe. You are reality itself. And thus, by merely focusing with every in and out breath on the center of your chest, you manifest yourself in all of these infinite points of time and space, and beyond that field, tonal space, akineic space, holographically. This knowingness is one thing, of course, to have that experience on a theoretical level. But today, as humanity steps out of its childhood nature and into its cosmic adulthood, a process that has been going on since early 2007, no less, and is now reaching its zenith, I want to explore with you brave ascension pioneers that are currently connecting to this moment, what this means in a practical manner. After all, ascension is not about theory. Enlightenment is not about theory. Ascension is a very practical event. It is a very practical path that one must apply continuously. There are means to manifest this continuous nature of tonal existence, and one of the main ways in which to do so is the Merkavah light body, and combined with everyone else that connects to their own Merkavah light body at the same moment of time, the Merkavah ship of thought, or light ship as we prefer to call it. Indeed, the Merkavah manifests when beings such as yourselves decide to come together, decide to make a difference together, decide to step out of their limited perception of self and move into the infinite perception of all. And this is an event, this type of perception, that goes beyond the now moment into the all. there is a great difference between the now moment and the all that many currently do not fully comprehend. The words are often used intermingled, interchangeable, but they surely are not. The now moment is your experience of time and space as it collapses into your timeline, creates a past and a future and a present, of course. The now, in a certain way, does entail all of these time frames, past, present, and future. But it unfortunately does not reach beyond that scope. And early on in human civilization, as many of you in previous lifetimes studied and explored enlightenment, that was indeed the limit of your exploration. In this lifetime, however, that you are currently experiencing, as we have called this the top life, in other words, the coming together of all of these different experiences of different lifetimes, each with their own past, present, and future, you create a blend, a timeline that emits itself everywhere. And as it does, the all is born. The all is not a time-space or even space-time field. The all goes beyond the holographic field even into tonal and achenaic space. And again, for many of you, the concept of tonal space and achenaic space is a theory. And today, it is my great honor to take you from theory into practice. And the first step then must be to explore how one can accomplish this. Now, as I have said earlier in this transmission, beyond the shadow of a doubt, the most appropriate, the most elegant way to enter into the all, to enter into the practical experience of all that I am now discussing, is the Merkavah. It is a concept that stems from Lemurian times, moved and was forgotten in Atlantean times, and remembered in Egyptian times. Then once again, its awareness, humans' awareness of this field died down. And since several decades now, as you have been exploring the light body and what all of that means, what the Merkabah means, a greater awareness is being born. A greater awareness is coming to the fore that you can take this further. A question that Ascended Life often receives is, how do I enter tonal space? How do I enter the Merkavah space? And in the meditation that is to follow now, we will do this together. Again, I am Ekara, and it is my honor to guide you and assist you during this process. So, take a moment to get yourselves in a comfortable position if you are not already doing so. If you find yourselves while listening to this broadcast, during its live moment or afterwards in a daytime zone, then I invite you to focus on the skies that are above you, and specifically the sun, not by looking at it. The best choice that you can make in this moment is to close your eyes and to point your head, and therefore your pineal gland, directly towards the sun, wherever she may be in your current reality field. Are you, however, in a nighttime space, then I invite you again to focus on the nearest star. Use the sky and use any of the stars that might be surrounding you, that might be visible to you in this moment. And even if you are inside of your house or in some other form of enclosed space, then still this following exercise is very possible. At that point, however, I invite you to focus on the star that is your chest, the star that is your Akene. This, of course, can be considered the ultimate star system, the ultimate form of stellar reality, as the Akene itself is a version, a manifestation of the central sun of this universe, which we then tend to call Solaris. So wherever you are, whether you are outside during daytime or nighttime, or whether you find yourselves inside of a location, focus on the nearest star. And simply be with this. Simply be with this for a moment. Today is not about understanding how stars are made or the chemical reactions inside of it. It has nothing to do with any of these complex theories. Remind yourselves of how you would feel as a child looking up at the sun, looking up at the stars, or feeling your heart. There would be no theory. There would be no knowledge passed on from schools or culture or society in general. Each and every one of you would have your own experience of what it is, this sun that we so commonly consider a daily presence in our lives, or these stars, these millions and billions of other suns out there. As a child, you would understand the nature of what lives in your chest, not because someone explained it to you, not because you read it in a book. Many of you as children wouldn't even be aware of the understanding that you have when it comes to the heart space. You would simply live it. And that is what I invite you to do. So, as you breathe in and breathe out at a pace which to you is most relaxing and most comforting. Understand the connection that is made each time between the infinite and the finite version of yourself. Understand the simplicity of celebrating life itself. Understand that the many thoughts that enter and exit your head are nothing but manifestations of energy, manifestations of the very same energy that makes up the sun, the stars, your heart itself. You could think of thoughts as the rays, the many infinite almost rays of the stellar body known as the sun, which keeps pumping out its light, which keeps pumping out its sound. And so the star in your head does the same. The star in your chest does the same, and the star in your belly does the same. Energy is continuously being born in these spaces with every in and out breath, with every movement of your chest up and down. And you are the chooser of realities, meaning you choose which of these rays in your head, your heart, and your belly actually manifest each time. That is the power you have as a creator of reality indeed. Now, as you keep focusing on your breath and you keep focusing on the heart space, the sun, and the stars themselves, I am inviting you to choose one particular body, either the solar sun or one particular star that you can see, or the star in your chest. And then I invite you, dear Ascension Pioneer, to contemplate reality, to contemplate the multiple dimensions of the reality in which you sit. A question Ascended Life is often asked when those surrounding us or those visiting us wonder about time travel, space travel, interdimensional travel is, how do you know, Ekara, which reality you are in? And I will always answer in the following fashion. I navigate my reality field and my reality creation based on the nearest solar body. And if there is no solar body near, I use the solar body in my chest. When you shift realities, you see, when you move from one reality to the next, one of the first differences that you will notice is that the sun and the stars are never in the same position twice. This means that if you observe the sun right now, or you observe the stars right now, or the star in your chest right now, and you were to shift reality, you would notice a subtle difference of position. I am not talking about the natural path from sunrise to sunset, or the normal progression of the equinoxes or anything of that nature. No. In each and every alternate reality of your timeline, the solar body, known as the sun, will move along a slightly different trajectory. It might be slightly higher than the reality that you're currently in, or slightly lower than the reality that you're currently in. Or, in many versions of reality, there is no such thing as a sunrise and a sunset. Instead, you simply have the circular motion of the solar body moving through the sky. In many of the realities that are connected to your current moment of time and space, you see, there is no such thing as a day or a night. And this is indeed a Lemurian concept, because days and nights are the result of linearity, you see. In most versions of reality that are not obstructed by linear perception, the solar body is either there or it isn't there. But even when it is not there, there is no such thing as a night. The phasing in and out of the solar body in the realities that we are currently discussing is the in and out breath of the universe. In other words, in most realities that are not linear, the solar body will merely become stronger in radiance as it manifests closer, or fade out slightly as it unmanifests, as the out-breath of that reality occurs. Do you see? In Lemurian times, for instance, there used to be a circular path of the solar body, and this entails an understanding that goes beyond the linear landscape where you believe to be on a round ball called Earth, an actual material form that circles around a solar body together with other planetary bodies and gas giants and what have you not. But all of that knowledge is merely a fracturing of circular reality into linearity. Do you see? Therefore, you in this current reality that you sit in right now, you experience a daytime and you experience a nighttime. You thus experience a sunrise and a sunset. I am explaining this to you because the practicality of entering Merkavah space, the simplicity of entering tonal space, is very similar to the flower of life geometry that you in the last years or so have become very familiar with. Indeed, beloved ascension pioneers, the reality differences of which I speak, the many alternate realities and multiple dimensions of which I speak, are knit together in a geometrical flower of life grid, and your sun, the current sun that you experience, is one of the points of the flower of life grid. In other words, if you wish to enter in a practical fashion Merkavah space, the goal is for you to focus on, as I have said before, the solar body that is nearest you, either the sun, a star, or the heart, and then to become aware of the alternate versions of this body that exist around it. Let's move into the practicality of this. So, as you focus on the solar body of your choice, with every in and out breath, allow slowly the flower of life geometry to appear, completely filling your vision. It matters not whether you can do this physically yet, or whether you can simply imagine this, but simply perceive the sun of your choice as a point in the geometrical grid that is the flower of life. And then observe all of the other tones or nodes or points in this flower of life grid. And as you do so, observe how each of these points is ultimately an alternate version of the solar body on which you are currently focusing. Let this happen for a moment. Let the sun be the center from which the flower of life geometry appears. Let the star of your choice be that center, if you will. And be aware that while you are doing this, your heart space or akene also acts as a center from which this flower of life geometry appears to expand and expand and expand. That's it. You're starting now to actually manifest this in your practical reality. Now, while a Merkavah is made up of a minimum of 144 tonal points or spheres or realities, therefore, that surround you, the particular Merkavah that we, Ascended Life, work with, the Imzaia Merkavah of all that has ever ascended, is currently ascending and will ever ascend, I tell you, exists of a minimum of 1044 of these flower of life nodes, flower of life points. There is a saying in ancient Lemuria that goes as follows: Kane iki o chiyane, po ne ka karae chiyofa. And it means, in your current day English tongue, the power of 1,000 suns. Do you understand this concept? In Lemurian times, where you currently experience the reality that you sit in as a linear perception, it was common to us, and it will be common to you as well once again in the future, near future in fact, that reality was made up of 1,044 different aspects of itself, and so we saw ourselves in the same way. We understood that the 144 DNA strands that were awake in our energetic bodies back then, each connected to the 1,044 different points of reality perception that ultimately all led back to one manifestation known as the central sun. As such, we consider the saying, the power of 1,000 suns, to be, as an explanation at least, the full scale or the full scope of reality perception that was available to us in every breath, in every moment of what you now consider time and space. This is a very different way indeed to think about your reality, and certainly your perception of reality. One of the great reasons why humanity tends to enter into spaces of suffering, lack, limitation, depression, etc., 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 is because from your perceptive identity, the pineal gland itself, you move from node to node to node to node. You have 2 active DNA strands, which currently is changing very quickly. Some of you are already experiencing reality as a 12-based DNA perception, while others are experiencing reality at the full 144 DNA perception. But truly, the DNA itself does not matter, and many of you often get lost in wanting to activate your DNA and all of that sort of stuff. Instead, I ask you, I invite you to focus on the concept of tonal DNA. And this, beloved explorers, is where DNA becomes onto you as a song of harmonious evolution, harmonious expansion, with many different voices, all of them your own, adding to the chorus of the beautiful verse, the beautiful universe that is creating reality through you, with you as the initiator of it at any moment. So when you focus on this simplicity of tonal DNA, you will not lose yourselves in trying to activate multiple strands of DNA, trying to raise your vibration, doing all of that stuff that you used to do as you sought enlightenment. Rather, from the perception of ascension itself, the tonal DNA, while containing 144 DNA strands, each connecting to the 1044 geometrical points of the flower of life represented in each reality as a sun or your chest or the stars themselves, the math continues to go on and on and on, and ultimately leads to infinity. The sign of the Lemniscarian movement of the infinity symbol that you all seem to know very well these days is the representation of that tonal DNA as it flows through your chest, as it flows through your head, and as it flows through your belly. And this is where your connection to infinity truly exists. This is where your infinite self truly exists. So as you in your linear time frame throughout the years that you have lived have shifted from one node to another, to another, to another, and you would call these things moods or states of being or emotions or any of the sorts of things that you would use to describe these things, you are now invited to embody it all. So that means that the depressed version of you and the elated version of you, the lacking version of you, the abundant version of you, the high vibratory version and the low vibratory version of you all exist within that tonal field that is the flower of life geometry. And rather than shifting from one timeline to the next, as you either encompass that version of yourself or the next moment you embody that other version of yourself and you move on from one to the other as a schizophrenic clown, instead, embrace it all, embody it all, and become a being that is known to carry the power of 1,000 suns. Even though, technically speaking, 1,044 different nodes or points is what this Merkavah is truly made up of. On a psychological level, the 1,000-sun concept has gone back throughout your history for eons and eons and eons. It is a saying rather than a technical explanation. So as I said, on a technical level, while there are 1,044 points that each connect to 144 DNA strands, each your own, we summarize this concept as 1,000 suns. I hope you understand that, and I hope you understand why. So, as you sit where you are right now, and as you allow these concepts to flow through you, understand then that it is your choice and merely your choice to exist in one node and one node alone, or to exist in all of them at the same time. And this is how you unify the alternate realities, the multiple dimensions, each a universe onto its own, into the multiverse, the tonal field that you truly are. Do you see? Good. From this perspective, of course, one thing must become very clear, and this is why earlier I stated that humanity is moving on from its childhood's experience of itself to the cosmic adult that it truly is. The only thing that keeps you in linearity, after all, that keeps you in these singular versions of reality where one moment you are sick, the other moment you feel healthy, one moment you are happy, the next moment you feel down, one moment you feel safe, the next moment you are creating accidents around you everywhere. One moment everything is working for you, the next moment everything is working against you, is but a choice. And it isn't necessarily from the perspective of the person that you have been for all of this time an easy choice to make. It takes courage. It takes guts. It takes dedication and it takes commitment in order for you to move out of that limited version of yourself, whether it be the depressed one or the happy one, to use some examples. And rather to embody it all. Now, even though indeed it takes courage and is very doable, the one thing that makes it difficult for many people, at least as far as my experience has gone, for the many people that have come to me for tuition, for explanation and for experience over the centuries, is the world that surrounds them. So imagine, if you will, that you are sitting in a room with 8, 9, 10, what have you, other people around you, and you are sitting in this depressed version of yourself, or this lacking version of yourself, or even this happy and abundant version of yourself. It does not matter the content. Then what makes it difficult, what sometimes for some even makes it near impossible to move into the tonal field, is that those that surround you are choosing together with you, conscious or unconscious, to be and exist in this one tone, this one node, this one point of reality, this one version of reality, this one timeline or dimension, together with you. And usually, humanity as a whole, covering the entire planet, not just in one moment of space, but also in all moments of time, moves from node to node to node together. And this wasn't always the case. It is why Lemuria became an infinite reality that you now have heard expressed as the fluid Lemuria, because every single being, every single human, every single animal, every single mineral, every single plant, every single tree, everything, every single piece of matter chose, made, and continue to make a conscious choice to exist in all of these points at the same time. And very quickly then, it was discovered, of course, that there is no such thing as a limit to this field. Ultimately, the so-called 1,000 suns, or in technical terms, the 1,044 nodes or points or spheres of the flower of life geometry, continue to expand in deeper and more expansive versions of themselves. And so your experience as a continuous, infinite, eternal being expands evermore. So Ekara, you could then say, how is it doable for me when I exist in a field that everyone else around me insists is the one that we are going to be existing in now, to move out of that and to move into these higher perceptions that you are currently discussing. Well, Ascension Pioneer, it is a very simple consideration, is it not? You either choose to limit yourself by continuing to exist in such a space, or you remove yourself from such a space, not by removing yourself from that space, but by expanding into all the other points at the same time and choosing the celebratory version, the expansive version of yourself. You see. Most humans throughout history, ultimately, whether it was in Lemuria or in Egypt during the mystery schools or whatever point really in time and space, ultimately felt the need to go to a space, a location, several of which continuously exist on this planet, where you can find others that willingly, together with you as a conscious choice, explore what it means to exist in all of these different nodes, all of these different spheres, and all of these different tones at the same time. In many cases, when you are locked in and have been locked in for a very, very long time, your entire lifetime in many cases, it seems to the mind near impossible to break that cycle, to escape from it. And so, ascension pioneers, ascension explorers chose to exist in locations on this earth where others were doing the same thing. One of such examples is that location that was mentioned about a year ago to many of you now, Honolenaia, the actual island that once existed off the coast of Portugal, where both Lemurian and Atlantean energies chose to come together as one of the few places on Earth in order to explore, not just study, but practically explore all of this together. And this is where the cosmic adult that is the human being is starting to move towards again. Then ultimately, once this has become a norm, a way of being to you, the being that had mastered this would walk back out into the earth in all versions of time and space to bring the message home, to break this bubble for many of their brethren and sisters as well. You see. And this is how, ultimately, as I said, the fluid Lemuria was ultimately born. It also is how you enter into Merkavah and therefore tonal space. The decision is yours. Do you choose to continue to exist hopping from node to node? In other words, from personality type to personality type as you surf the waves of the vibrational realm? Or do you choose to exist in all of these points at the same time and master that field that we now describe as reality itself? That is the question, you see. It is a question that only you can answer. But to answer it truthfully, you must go deeply within. You cannot answer a question such as this on the surface level, the mind level the linear physical level. It is answered deep within the soul. And once the answer is there, that soul will choose to move. It is a wonderful time on planet Earth right now. You have a brilliant year ahead and many years after that, as linearity continues to break down, as tonal reality continues to emerge. And for those of you called to move along these paths faster, you will create for many others ultimately around you a great advantage, as you will be able to enter into their reality spheres and go and assist to expand these things with them, to break the shell that keeps the soul locked in, moving about up and down and left and right. It is a choice that only you can make. From this perspective, this Merkavah perspective, where you burn with the power of 1,000 suns, I would like to share the following with you in Lemurian, as I currently connect and invite you to connect to the infinite beings that exist in the fluid Lemuria, that are connecting to you right now, inviting you right now to see what they see, to know what they know. Boneke ina shevi kane imzaneki do nesha kone fulai ko amika nere shentro isha klovate maneka to manekato kile. May you hear the invitation that is currently reaching every cell of your being, every akene in your body, every center of everything that you are. And may you feel the space to move forward, the space to move into what we are inviting you to move into, to start exploring the realm of 1,000 suns, of which I have now spoke. And may you find the infinity of your soul that awaits you with every breath, that beckons you home with every breath since the day that you took on this physical form, with the invitation to move beyond it and to embody the all. You are indeed blessed for the choices that you make. For indeed what you have put yourself through, the linearity of limitation, may this cycle break for you and for all as humanity continues to expand. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, beloved Ascension pioneers, I now close this moment of Merkavah experience. As you know, soon Kuan Yin will make sure that this experience becomes permanently available in the ascendosphere, and later on today, in the hours to follow, I hear that Kuan Yin is preparing a follow-up Q&A session to the recent 8-12-8 experiences that were shared only a couple of weeks ago. So, while I leave you with these words, I stay with you in your heart. I sing to your DNA a song of dolphin, whale, and turtle, a song that reaches the sun, and the sun that is your heart, and from there moves to every other point of geometry, every other dimension of you that exists in the tonal flower of life field that beams out of your akene, your heart center, at all times. I leave you with one final thought. Much in the same way as I have invited you to focus on the different points of the sun in the different realities, the different dimensions that surround it, so you can work with the heart space as you envision the flower of life geometry expanding from it. If you do not like the version of yourself that you are currently in, then simply move the akene to another node on that flower of life field that expands from your chest. Doing so does not make you feel physical or energetic motion, because you stay the center of all that is, the heart of all that is. But successfully doing so means that as you breathe, reality moves left or right or up or down. Your entire field of perception moves in the direction of the node of your choice. I am Ekara, and I love you. I wish for you a wonderful continuation of your moment as you explore these things. And I am certain that in the recording to come, Kuan Yin will assist you in familiarizing yourself with the information that I now have shared with you, by making it even more practical, and by ultimately manifesting it as a physical reality for you all. Should you have any questions that come up in this moment, please send them in via the normal and known ways of doing so, and she and I will answer them accordingly. Namaste. I will talk to you again very soon.